welcome back for another episode of Positivi-Tuesday. I'm so excited to be here with you all. If you don't already know, my name is Chelsea Dawn Kahn. I do this segment called Positivi-Tuesday, and it was really inspired by Bailey Sarian. Love her so much. She's amazing. If you don't already watch her, make sure you do. But it was just inspired by her need for a once-a-month mental health break, and I thought that was so amazing. So I just wanted to be able to give, because like if you're like me, you really love her videos, you really love, like I love true crime. I'm so into that. But it is very true that because those topics can be so negative, we need the positive boost as well to come after it. So hers are on Monday, mine are on Tuesday, and just hoping to be able to spread as much love, positivity, fun, personal growth to the world as possible. So that is why we are here. We have a super great topic to talk about today, which is speaking your truth, which is probably one of the most important things that we can learn to do. But I'm not going to talk about that now. We'll get into it when we start doing our makeup. So this is the final look, guys. So if you're curious to see how this was done, or if you're curious to learn about speaking your truth and the importance of it, or hopefully if you're really curious to know about both, make sure to keep watching. It's gonna be a good one. Okay, guys, let's dive into this makeup and talking, I guess you could say. But before we start talking about speaking your truth, I need to clarify things from the daddy story, because there have been questions, because I didn't tell, I guess I didn't give full detail. So when he was asking me on the day we met to call him daddy, it was totally a joke. Like, he literally just wanted to see how uncomfortable he could make me. And it was actually, we were at his sister's wedding at the time, and we were both, under the influence. And he just came up with this idea of let's see how she's going to act when she's super uncomfortable. And that was just it. So the good thing is that neither of us are daddy people. And if you are a daddy, like to call people daddy, good on you. Whatever works for you. No judgment here. It's just for us. We don't. Oh, and I'm just so glad, because it is it makes me so uncomfortable. But now that it's this funny joke, now I just think it's hilarious. And I just love it so much. People have also asked, how did he react at this restaurant when you're yelling daddy at him across the parking lot? And luckily, he knows me so well. I'm sure he was no, I don't even think he was embarrassed. I would say that typically he would be, because he's not a person who enjoys attention like that. But I think he just saw how excited it had made me, especially because we had COVID. So that's why we quarantined for almost 3 weeks. We did more than the actual amount that you had to, just to make sure we kept everybody safe. And it literally drove me insane to be locked in the house that long. I'm such a people person most of the time. And I just need to be, it doesn't even matter if it's people I know, but it's just I need to be around people. It just makes me feel energized most of the time. And so I think he just saw, I was so excited about it. And I think he just saw how happy I was, that he was cool, let's roll with it. He literally had the biggest smile on his face, looked so excited that I was excited. And it was just great. He walked over, he gave me a big kiss, and then he went on his way, because he was doing his own thing, and so was I. So it's just, yeah, I just love this story so much. And I just love, like, it's so amazing to have a husband who just lets you be you, never expects anything except for craziness. So that is the final kind of details, I guess, of that story. And I'll just, continue to call him daddy in public just to see how people respond, because it's hilarious to me. And now that I've started, like, I can't stop. That would be insane to just stop. So, moving on from that story, the whole purpose of today is so that we can talk about speaking your truth. And what does that look like? I know it's like a term that's being thrown around a lot right now, and that's totally, like, great. But I also know that sometimes people use it wrong, and I know that some people feel uncomfortable with it. So before we even start on that, I'm just going to talk about what speaking my truth means for me. So for me, speaking my truth is speaking about my it's speaking my emotional truth, because there's a big difference between the actual truth of a situation and what emotions you decided to purchase through that situation. Huge difference. So, like, an example I can think of for you guys is that there could be a person walking down the street, and this person, you know how people spit when they're, like, walking sometime? Just like, psst. This person could spit, just thinking that they're going to spit on the ground. But, like, a gust of wind comes, and this spit flies and hits the person who's walking past them. Now, the truth is that this person had no intention of spitting on this random person walking by. However, the person being spit on, their truth is going to most likely be, someone just spit on me. Like, just spit on me. And now you're going to purchase emotions of that because you feel you've just been so, like, offended and spit on. So when I say speak your truth, I mean speak your emotional truth, because emotions aren't based on truth, but emotions are, like, you can't pretend that emotion isn't there and doesn't exist. That emotion is your truth in that moment of what happened. So that's what I mean when I say speak your truth, is your emotional truth. Doesn't mean it's based on facts, but our emotions are very real, and a lot of the time they're very strong. So moving forward from that, a huge part of self-love and self-care is to really be able to speak your truth, because it's almost one of the only ways that we can really protect ourselves. So when you run into a situation, I would really encourage you to just take the time. It doesn't mean you have to react immediately to whatever's happened, because most of the time when something does happen, we're, like, heated, right? Like, in the moment, like, how dare this person, blah, blah. Really, you don't have to deal with something the second it happens. You can allow yourself the time to sit and be in that emotion. And because emotions also change over time. So just because you're super heated in a moment doesn't mean that's going to be true to what you actually feel. If you give it, like, a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, everything evolves. So just give yourself as much time as you need. And then a really important part of speaking your truth is that we do it through love. So the intention of why you're speaking your truth, it should never be to stab at somebody or to cause harm to somebody or to feel like, well, you did this to me, so now I'm going to give it back to you. That should never be the intention. The intention should always be just for you to be able to say, from my point of view, this is what happened, and it really hurt me, or whatever it is that it did to you, because of this, this, and this. And an important thing to know when doing this is that you want to talk just about yourself and your emotion and what you feel from what happened, and you don't ever want to be like, you did this, you did that, blah blah, because even though, yes, they may have done something, their version of what they did may have been completely different, or the reason why may have been completely different. And maybe what your version of what happened is totally different than theirs. And I would hope that you would be speaking through the intention of trying to figure out what happened and how to move forward. So intention is super important. And just giving that time to yourself, and then just make sure that everything is said through love, like what we said before. Now, an important thing to keep in mind with all of this is that we can only control ourselves. We can't control the person that we're talking to. We can't control how they're going to handle the situation or how they're going to respond. All we can control is ourselves and making sure that we have done the best that we can to feel our way through these situations, to act and speak through love, and to have an intention of figuring out some way to move forward. Now, with that being said, moving forward doesn't always mean that there is going to be moving forward. Sometimes with that person, sometimes moving forward literally means that you have seen everything you need to see through the way that this person has responded. It doesn't align with you, and it no longer is a fit for your life. And just prepare yourself for that, because as much as most times when you speak your truth, especially when you do it through love, most times things do go very well. Most times. But there are the times where it doesn't, and you see the truth of how certain people behave. And, it's just time to move forward. Like, we don't have time for that type of negativity and hate in our life. That's totally fine, but just make sure to brace yourself that could be the potential outcome of the situation. Now, other times it can be the most amazing experience, and that's what I find most of the time that it's the best experience that, because these relationships mean something to us, and hopefully it means as much to the other person as it does to you. They're also going to then have an opportunity to speak their truth of what happened, and for you to be able to find some sort of healing and common ground and understanding of what each other is going through. And most of the time, it can really help relationships to actually grow, become deeper, become more loving, just become more healthy in general. That's what I typically find happens most of the time. And it's like usually a very amazing experience, and you walk away So proud that you did it, because speaking your truth is not easy. I think most of us have been trained to not ever speak our truth, to totally even just like hide our truth, even from ourselves, to be a people pleaser and make people very comfortable, and to just tell yourself that you're okay with things that really you're not. So there's a bunch of different outcomes that can happen, and just be braced for all of them. Because it doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It's usually amazing, and you're just so glad that you did it. So this also doesn't just mean speaking your truth within a friendship or relationship. Sometimes, like maybe let's say, guys, I don't know if I shaved my armpits. I think I did them yesterday, but I can't really remember, if I'm honest with you. So like, there's that. If you see something, just ignore it, because guess what? Armpit hair is natural. So what about that? So speaking your truth can also be like, let's say in a work situation, and you know, maybe more is being required of you than what was initially agreed upon, and maybe it's too much for you to handle, or you're just not comfortable with something that they're requiring you to do. In those situations, it is also extremely important to figure out what the truth for you is and how you want to speak that, so that you can come to resolution of like, how do I either remain at this job, or do I need to move on? But the thing is that if you don't speak your truth and say the reality of what's bothering you, it's only going to cause resentment, and it's never going to be resolved. And then you'll just stay at this job or in these relationships being like super pissed off, right? Because you're not being treated the way that you need. But in reality, it's on you, because you're not verbalizing and vocalizing. Verbalizing, is that a thing? I don't know, but we're moving forward. You're not vocalizing what it is that you need in these situations. And we can't expect everybody to be a mind reader and to just know what it is that we need. So that's why it's so important to really get in touch with yourself on like a very deep level, so that you can actually know what your truth is, and you can hear basically yourself, your soul coming and saying, this situation is not okay for me, you know? And figuring out a way that you can still be healthy in the situation or moving on from it. Speaking your truth can also be it doesn't always mean that it's like, oh, something like really bad happened. Speaking your truth sometimes can be like legitimately just letting somebody know how much you love them. And this situation happened, whatever it may be, and it really made me understand how much I appreciate you and how much I love you and how deep our connection is. Like, there's also such positive things that you can say for speaking your truth. It doesn't always have to be that you have this negative emotion. Emotions, there's like a range and a scale. It's huge. And it's important to also tell people when they've deeply affected us in a positive way that they have. But again, in order to be able to do that, you really need to be able to connect to yourself, feel what you're feeling, be present and aware of those emotions when they pop up and arise. Because if you're not, how can you speak any form of truth? Because you don't even know what it is. And what else can really happen through speaking your truth is that it creates a space for you to be able to start setting up proper boundaries. And boundaries, that's a huge one. I'm not even going to talk about boundaries today. We'll have to do a teaching on that another day, because like, my goodness, if you don't already know about boundaries and have them put in effect, you really need to. It's like literally boundaries are like one of the most important life-changing things that you can ever do. It is a real trip when you start learning about boundaries if you have not before, but it is like, it's literally transformative to have boundaries and be able to put them into place. I love like talking about boundaries, teaching about boundaries. And not to say I'm perfect, I'm totally not. I have so much to learn and so much to grow, but that's how life is. It's a journey where nothing is ever, you never just arrive. You're going to keep going, keep learning more ways to do things, or better ways to serve yourself, which is totally what a boundary is. It's serving yourself. So something else that is important to know about speaking your truth is that typically, especially because most of us were not taught about this in our, these kind of things really should be taught in school over like check writing, like literally, like I remember learning about that in high school. Oh, this is like, we had tests on how to write checks. Like if that's still a life skill they're teaching in school, something is wrong. But typically when you really start to speak your truth, learn how that works for you, learn how to do it through love, with the best intention possible, the people around you will also start learning to do the same thing, because it almost creates like a safe place for them to be able to learn and grow, especially if they have never experienced this type of behavior, I guess you could call it, before. They're probably going to become very attracted to it because it's probably something that they've been missing as well. And now they're seeing somebody doing it and thinking like, what the heck is this? Like, we're actually productively having a conversation about our feelings and, moving forward from this and being able to heal and grow, instead of just being like, well, screw you and screw you too. And like, just constantly having relationships that are a mess and, cutting people out, even though sometimes that is necessary. That doesn't mean it's necessary every single time. And that's like very attractive once you start to realize that not everything has to always be this huge fight, and that there are, when we do it properly, positive outcomes to life and what's happening. And then from there, we can really start to learn and grow and like become the best version of ourselves that we can be, instead of just being like a walking wounded being who's just going to keep going out and hurting more and more people, because we aren't taking the ownership and the accountability of being brave enough to have these conversations, because it is scary a lot of the time, especially if it's new and it's something you're not used to doing. It can legitimately be like so scary. And like, I don't know about you, but I am not a person who likes confrontation at all. It makes me so uncomfortable. However, I also know that if you don't get good at having these uncomfortable conversations, you're never going to progress in life. And also, the more that you do it and the better you get at it, it's not always going to be so uncomfortable, especially once you start to really understand that I am having this conversation because I need it. It is for my greatest and highest good, and I am of value, and I am of worth. So please know that your feelings always matter. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be able to speak your truth. Those things are important. Never, please, never tell yourself that you don't matter enough to speak your truth to somebody. And if their truth is that your truth legitimately doesn't matter to them, or that they completely don't want to hear it at all and try twist everything, walk away. Because we don't have time for that in our lives. But just make sure that you really assess everything first. To make sure, like, when they respond, am I feeling super triggered by their response just because I am? Or is it legitimately how they're responding is not? That's just not it. Like, that's not how you respond to people. And if they completely are unable to hear your truth at all, it's time to walk away. Because there's nothing good there for you. Nothing good. So that is basically like a little mini baby lesson. Very, very baby. Just so that we can start to like grasp the concept of this. Lesson on speaking your truth, why it's so important, the value of it, and just please, really, like the most important thing that I can tell you is to keep in mind that this is about loving yourself. That is the most important reason why you could speak your truth. It's about self-love. It's about self-care. Please, please know that you are worthy. You are loved. You are valuable. You matter. I know I already said it, but like that is literally the most important thing that I could drive home in this, is just how special and how important you are. And that you deserve, if you haven't already, to start doing this. You deserve to start walking the path and to start really putting yourself first. Because if we don't put ourselves first and we don't love ourselves, then we can never properly love anybody else. And like, I know sometimes you hear that and you're like, whatever, I totally love this person more than myself. I love this person more than myself. You don't. It's really impossible. You think you are, but you don't. And especially without proper boundaries set into place, it's never going to work out. All that's going to happen if you never learn to speak your truth and you never learn to start setting boundaries, you're just going to end up so resentful of probably almost every single situation in your life. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. I have done this so many times in life. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Please hear that. I am not. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still on this journey. I'm very committed to it, but by no means am I perfect. But I have also just seen how many times I've like seriously messed up my life because I did not speak my truth, because I did not think I was valuable enough to. So if that's how you feel, like I could never do that, I would just encourage you to try figure out why, and in what areas do you really need to start evaluating your beliefs around your self-worth and your beliefs around loving yourself. Because that's going to be a total game changer for you. I can promise and guarantee you that. There's been like a lot of lessons that have come with this today, huh, guys? But I just really hope you know, that kind of makes sense. I hope that it's kind of a good base point for people to start learning and growing. That would be my whole hope for everybody. And I'm just gonna hop off camera quickly to finish this makeup, and then we will be back in a minute. Sorry, I was gonna try film the rest of my makeup and then just, I don't even know what it's called, but when you put it in like fast forward mode. What is that called? I don't know, but I was gonna do that just so you could like quickly watch the rest of the process, but like something weird happened with my power that's never happened before, and everything just shut down and was like, oh, we're in power saving mode now. So I could not. So I apologize, but here we are. This is our final look. Nothing too crazy, but like more glammy than like just a regular day, I suppose. And I just hope that you guys were able to maybe find a bit of value in what we talked about today. I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me again for Positivi-Tuesday. It means so much to me. I love just being able to spend time with you guys and have our little chats and have just, you know, a good time where we're maybe learning like we did today while doing some makeup, or telling a funny story like last week. And it's just been awesome. So thank you guys so much for coming on this journey with me. And please make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to my channel, and then you click the bell button so that you can be notified every time I upload a video, which will be on Tuesdays if you haven't figured that out by now. But make sure that you do that just so that you're not missing out on anything. And thank you all for watching.